Hello students, in today's class, that is presently the 15th number of class, where I am going to teach you a poem called The Raven and the Fox. You should know the name of the poem as well as the name of the poet. Yes, the poet is Jean de La Fontaine. Now let us move to the word bank. Here the first word is perched. Perched means sat or rested on. Number 2, limb. Here the meaning of limb is branch of a tree. Number 3, morsel. Morsel is a small piece of food that the raven was holding in its mouth. Number 4 is spied. Spied means saw or noticed. Number 5, flattery, which means praise that is not sincere, or you can say fake. Number 6, vanity. Vanity means too much pride in personal abilities. Number 7, or the last one, is vice. It means a bad quality in one's character. Now, the fox is having a name here. The name of the fox was Reynard. So what was the name of the fox? Yes, the fox's name was Reynard. When you will read the poem carefully, you will notice the following. That is, the poet calls the raven Mr. Raven, and the fox calls the raven Sir Raven. In this poem, the raven and the fox are talking to each other like people. Now, we know that animals do not dress like us, nor do they talk among themselves like we do. We also know that titles like Mr. and Sir are only used for human beings. We do not use these titles for animals. So, what the poet is doing here is personification. When animals or birds and non-living things behave like human beings in a story or poem, it is known as personification. Now let us come to the poem. It is given in page number 24 of your book. So take out page number 24, and before I go to the summary, I am reading out the full poem first. So read this poem to find out how an angry fox tricks a raven for food. Mr. Raven was perched upon a limb, and Reynard the fox looked up at him, for the raven held in his great big beak a morsel the fox would go far to seek. Said the fox in admiring tones, "My word, Sir Raven, you are a handsome bird. Such feathers! If you would only sing, the birds of these woods would call you king." The raven, who did not see the joke, forgot that his voice was just a croak. He opened his beak in his foolish pride, and down fell the morsel the fox had spied. "Aha!" said the fox, "and now you see you should not listen to flattery. Vanity, sir, is a horrid vice. I am sure the lesson is worth the price." So the first stanza says, Mr. Raven was perched upon a limb, and Reynard the fox looked up at him. For the raven held in his great big beak a morsel the fox would go far to seek. Students, as you can see from the picture, that the poem is about a raven sitting on the tree branch with a slice of morsel in its beak. The word limb here means branches of a tree. As we are having our arms, legs as our body parts, similarly limbs are the branches of a tree, and Reynard, the name of the fox, was looking up at him, sitting on the ground. The fox was actually for the food that the raven was carrying in his beak. The fox wanted to take that piece of food. And the second stanza now says the fox in admiring tones, "My word, Sir Raven, you are a handsome bird. Such feathers, if you would only sing, the birds of these woods would call you king." So this means the fox smells the food and hatches a plan to get it from the raven. He goes below the tree and starts praising the raven. He speaks high of the raven's glossy black coat, saying that it was a handsome bird, which has a melodious voice. He said that if you start singing, you will be the king of the wood. Wood here means forest. Now the third stanza was the raven, who did not see the joke, forgot that his voice was just a croak. He opened his beak in his foolish pride, and down fell the morsel the fox had spied. Now actually we all know that the voice of a crow or raven is not at all good. The fox was just flattering the raven. So the raven, who was unable to understand the joke or was befooled by the fox, he himself knows that his voice is not good. But after listening to the praise, he forgot that. The raven, wanting to show off, opens its beak to sing in his foolish pride, and the morsel fell into the waiting fox's mouth. The word spied means the fox was secretly observing him because he wanted to take the food. Now the last or the fourth stanza says, "Aha," said the fox, "and now you see, you should not listen to flattery. Vanity, sir, is a horrid vice. I'm sure the lesson is worth the price." Now the fox is laughing and saying that you must not listen to any kind of flattery. He departs with a word of advice to the raven. Vanity means the state of having too much pride, which is totally a bad quality. And the fox thinks that the lesson was worth for the bird. He wants to tell that from the next time he must be careful from these kind of flattery words. Now the story of the fox and the crow originates from the ancient Greek storyteller Aesop. This fable has been depicted in the various pathways through the ages. These fables have found their way into specifically the French literature and culture via the pen of Jean de La Fontaine. This story urges us not to trust anyone who is trying to deceive us. The moral of the story is, don't let flattery
get the better of you, or people will take advantage of you, like how the fox, using the sweetest of words, manages to trick the crow. And we must always know our weak points. So this was the end of explanation. Now before I leave, I want you to remind you for the usage of mask in these days, as 40% of transmissions happen before symptoms. You wear a mask to protect others and they wear it to protect you. It is we and not me. Now go through the poem once again with a musical background. Bye bye. See you again and take care.